Hey there, Pod Pals. Are you a print-on-demand creator looking to stay ahead of the curve? You want to know exactly when to launch your designs for every key season and event? How about a chuckle with an extra dad joke to brighten your day? If you said yes to any of these, then it's time to join the Print on Demand Cast VIP list. As a VIP, you'll get our free annual design calendar, an amazing guide to help you time your creations perfectly throughout the year. And of course, we'll include a bonus dad joke each week as well. Signing up couldn't be easier. Just visit printondemandcast.com/VIP and enter your email. Don't let another day of potential pass you by. Become a part of the VIP list, grab your annual design calendar, and let's dive into a year of inspired creating together. We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. On this episode, we're going to talk about 6 reasons you're not getting any sales on Etsy. Let's get into it.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. It is great to be with you all once again here at your go-to, the epicenter of information, dad jokes, entertainment, podcast professionalism, and all of the above. Joining me this week, as every week, is Travis Ross from Make Your Mark Design. Travis, happy Tuesday. Good to see that we all survived the impending doom that was the solar eclipse that apparently everyone was a little concerned. I heard people were letting school out, like the states were letting schools out because of it. I don't know why. It was going to get dark for 7 minutes. That was dumb. But here we are. We're on the other side of it. What are you going to do?
We're all alive, and yeah, it was kind of, I don't know. It wasn't as cool as the last one here in Colorado because we weren't in the totality zone, but
right.
It's still, it was kind of one of those things. It's like, oh, it's darker outside. That's right. There's an eclipse today. Let me go out and not look at the sun, but like take a picture of it with my phone. And okay, I got a picture. I'm going back inside, and that was it. That was my experience with the eclipse.
With the eclipse. Yeah, I was in a meeting. We had an in-person work meeting yesterday at a restaurant in Westminster, and we were there from like 11:30 to like 2:30, and so we were inside when all of this was happening. There was no noticeable difference, but the last solar eclipse that happened in 2017, my hometown in Wyoming was directly in the path of totality. So you would see 100% of the eclipse happen. So I remember, it's a town of 10,000 people. There was like 30,000 people there that week because people were just descending upon this tiny town. But I will say that seeing 100% totality in person is probably one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in nature. And it was a very bizarre experience because, the sun was getting covered up, and then you hear crickets start chirping and birds flying back to their nests. And it
gets colder.
It's the wildest thing. So I understand why people go within that path of totality to see it because it's crazy cool. But how else have you been this week? And we got a lot to get to, including 6 reasons why you may not be getting any sales on Etsy. And I know people are like, seems like anytime we talk about Etsy, they're like, hey, they're probably not even listening to this. They're just fast forwarding till they hear the bumper for the main event because they just want to know those 6 reasons. But before we get into everything, all the segments that we have of the show, how's your week been? How are you? Let's cut a little bit of a waffle and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm good. My wife's out of town this week, so I'm kind of pulling
You're super dad.
super dad duty and running kids around and picking them up from school and dropping them off at school and taking them to sporting events and just all that fun stuff. I don't have a night this week that isn't free. So, but that's okay. That's why it's good to have an awesome wife, so we can share those duties when she's around. But it's her dad's 80th birthday today.
Nice.
At Tuesday, April 9th. And so she's in Florida with her dad and her mom. and one of her younger brother flew down from Massachusetts, and they're all hanging out. And I think they're having a great time, and I would not take that away from her. So,
sure,
here I am. I'm, gonna soldier on and be dad for this week. And next week I'll go back to just being the lazy guy that, sits in front of the computer all day and then sits on the couch all evening. So that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that.
That's a great, what aspirations those are to doing that. That is awesome. What that noise means that Google Chrome sucks.
So you get nothing.
About to play the same thing to it. So so we're back. A little peek behind the curtain. My Chrome completely froze, and so I had to restart everything. I know Travis was talking about looking forward to getting back to just what would you say, like sitting in front of a computer all day, couch at night, something like that. Nice. That is peak fatherhood, maybe. Is it? I don't know. You decide.
I don't know. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it. I don't know.
Probably
I've said
not.
too much, but we're going to go straight. Speaking of fatherhood, let's go to the weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right, man. This is you. You had a really nice one that is very topical, I think.
It is.
Take it away, baby.
I mean, I can't do it, but I don't have any descendants. So I guess it is a joke. Anyway, okay. So in this hypothetical universe.
Okay, there you go. You guys will get it in a minute, I promise. But right now you're just like, why are these guys being
what the
such
hell? Beating around the bush. Just get to the joke.
Go for it.
So one of my kids asked me, recently, since Monday was the big happening, we referenced it already, but one of my kids asked me if I could tell him what an eclipse was. And I said, no, son. There it is. And if you're wondering why that was hypothetical, it's because I have no kids. And if my Shih Tzu asked me what an eclipse was, I wouldn't be here. I'd be letting everyone who I know and all the news outlets know that I have a talking Shih Tzu. So that obviously didn't happen. So moving on to, we don't always have point of interest, but we do this week. And I'm super excited about it because it's something we referenced a couple of weeks ago, but you took it upon yourself to dig a little bit deeper. So let's go to this week's point of interest.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to the point of interest part of the POD cast. So grab your hat and hold on tight because we got some learning to do.
All right, Travis. Last couple of weeks ago, our point of interest, we talked about, or not even during the point of interest, it was during a main event, we talked about TikTok Shop. And you are doing a little bit of an experiment with TikTok Shop. So why don't we update the people and let them know how that's going? What are you doing exactly for the experiment, and how are the results going?
Well, there are no results. Just, more work that I added to my plate. No, I actually decided to jump into this whole craze, I guess, and just apply for a business account and get a TikTok Shop. I don't know. I don't even know what they call it. I don't remember, but it's business something or, but I'm able to now list products for influencers to then use in their TikToks to get people to buy on TikTok. And then obviously I would produce, or, one of my print partners would produce the product and then send it to the customer. And then that influencer would get a kickback, and I can set that percentage and all that stuff. So I went ahead and set up the account, and my thought was, let's just put a bunch of stuff out here and see what happens. The cool thing about the way I'm set up is, since I use Order Desk, if you follow the show, I use Order Desk to kind of consolidate all my orders from all the different channels and then push them out to my print providers. Right now, it's mainly Guten. I'm testing another one out that has some unique products that we'll have another point of interest at some point once I get past the testing phase on that. But one of the cool things that you're able to do with TikTok Shop is you can upload in bulk. Now I'm in their like trial period, so I can, what they've said is I can only upload 100 products per day. But I mean, as you can imagine, that's a lot of products, if you do it every single day. And the spreadsheet that we use to upload it is so simple to fill out. It's really, really easy. There's not a whole lot to it. And so I have one of my VAs just basically going to our master spreadsheet, which I talk a lot about. And then she's just pulling 100 products at a time, and so she sets up like 7 or 8, spreadsheets. And then every day I'm going in and just uploading. It takes literally 2 minutes to log in and upload the thing. And so, I mean, right now we tested it, and then I just uploaded my 3rd spreadsheet today. So I have like 250, 300 products in TikTok today. So it obviously very beginning stages, have no sales. The challenging thing I think for print on demand is how is that a lot of the things that are selling in TikTok Shop are something that somebody already has, and they, when they find, oh, hey, this is available on TikTok Shop, so I'm going to do a TikTok about it and try to, make some money. But this particular, these particular products are unique, and, as you guys know, but if you did have like a brand or something like that, and you wanted to jump in there, I think you might have some success if there's a specific kind of niche, or if you actually have a TikTok already. This would be a great way for you to just go in and hold your, maybe you've got a return coffee mug or something, and you can hold it up and do your little TikTok dance or whatever, and potentially get sales that way. I know, I think Printify or Printful, one of the two, I think they talked about having a TikTok integration, and a couple of the other ones, a couple of the other fulfillment places have TikTok integrations. So, if you're doing TikTok Shop right now, we'd love to hear from you and see what your experience has been. So far, so good. Congress hasn't shut down TikTok yet either, so that's good. But it's such a low amount of work to actually do. It's just like, let's just try it and see what happens. And if nothing happens after a few months, and we've got a few thousand products up there, then, maybe we'll stop, or maybe they'll lift my limit and I can upload 1,000 a day, and then I can kind of really, really put some stuff out there. But for now, 100 a day, and we'll see how it goes. Just really curious if any of our listeners are actually doing it too, because I think it can be viable if, I think there's a lot of sales happening. I just don't know if the print on demand side of it kind of gives it, it just makes it more difficult. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Again, like Travis said, let us know if you have been dabbling in the TikTok Shop. We'd love to hear from you, or even have you on a point of interest, follow up and kind of learn about what you're doing there too. So with that being said, we're going to go straight to this week's main event.
Main event, 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 main event.
All right, 6 reasons you're not getting any sales on Etsy. Travis, I alluded to this earlier in the show, but it seems like anytime we talk Etsy, people want to know. It seems like our highest listenership are on those episodes that we do, or our listenership on those episodes seem to be among the highest pretty consistently. And I think that's because, Etsy is certainly, would you say, maybe one of the lower barriers of entry between maybe an Amazon or a Walmart in terms of, I guess, seller of record sites, as opposed to like a Redbubble or a merch on demand. But what do you think the reason is that the episodes that we do focus on Etsy specifically seem to be of so much interest to those that are listening?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it really is the lowest barrier to entry from anybody who may be coming from a royalty-based site like a Amazon Merch on Demand, or, Redbubble or Teespring, or, some of these other ones that we reference that aren't necessarily seller of record. It's kind of an easy transition where, Amazon walmart.com, you got to pay $40 a month for a pro account. That's a little, that's kind of a barrier to entry. Walmart, while there's no monthly fee, it just seems like it's hard to kind of get into, even though it's really not. But there's just a lot more hurdles. So I think Etsy kind of seems like the natural first store or first shop, that a lot of people that are in the print on demand game are creating. If you don't go the brand route and go Shopify, then you're probably starting on Etsy when it comes to the seller of record sales channels. You might have already done the merch and all that other stuff on those royalty based sites, but if you're just starting out with seller of record, Etsy seems to be the easy one. So I think a lot of people are checking out those episodes because of that fact, because that's where they're selling. So that's kind of the demographic I think that the show has. There are a few people that are doing some other things, and we always encourage, if you've got all the assets there from Etsy, let's start moving to these other channels and repurposing those assets the best way you can. That's what I'm doing with the TikTok shop, So
totally. All right. When we're looking at 6 reasons, the first one we have on our list, and I guess, would you say these aren't in any particular order necessarily, or there's no hierarchy to these reasons? It's just kind of some that we had in mind when we were putting together the show or this particular episode. Number one, the first one we have on there rather is one of the reasons you don't know or you're not getting any sales is because you don't know who your customer is. We've talked about that in the past. Like, who is your ideal customer? Who is that? What's that phrase? Who is the
avatar?
Avatar. Yeah. Your customer avatar. Who is it that you are looking to appeal to? I mean, at the beginning, and a lot of it, I think people are like, well, I'm just going to, throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, spray and pray type thing. But, that can work at scale. But in the beginning, you're going to want to niche down and really define who it is, especially on Etsy, because I feel like Etsy is a lot of it is these shops are so niched to certain interests and certain, focus groups, rather, for lack of a better term. And everything is so in line as far as a brand. It's not really a spray and pray platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe an Amazon.com is, or even a Redbubble or a merch on demand, but Etsy in itself lends itself to that really carefully curated brand look. So you really want to figure out who that avatar is right out of the gate. Yeah,
I agree. I think, Etsy really, more than any other platform, I think people actually do care about the brand, or they come to your page. Like, I have an Amazon seller page. I don't think anybody has ever seen it, aside from me every once in a while, but it's very rare that people will come to your seller page. I know Amazon is making more strides towards that with some of the brand registry things and some of the different things you can do on your page. And they do have specific shops, but most transactions on Etsy or on Amazon and Walmart, for that matter, are just made from, a search query in the search bar and then choosing the product in the list. They're not going to your store to look at that. On Etsy, though, if they see a specific product and you can click on that name and go to your store. And if you have things that are all similar, targeted towards a similar type of buyer, you may actually get more than one sale, or they might find one thing and go, oh no, but I like this better, because you have multiple products that are targeting that exact person. And so that's why it's so important, specifically on Etsy, to really know who you're selling to. You need to know your specific demographic. How old are they? Are they male or female? What stage of life are they in? What are their problems? What are their challenges? What are the things they're excited about? What are those things that they want to present to the world? What, do they have a high level of disposable income? I mean, that's a great demographic to target, somebody who has disposable income, because, it's disposable. They can buy your stuff.
They do whatever. It's the acronym DINKS, dual income, no kids. Married couples who are single, they have all the money. They have no children. They're just buying other things. So,
so consider that when you're when you're starting, or even if you've already started, consider really focusing in on deciding who that customer is.
Yeah.
And then, because that'll like just really form all of the answers to the questions that you have when you're creating a listing, because you're going to be talking to that particular person when you're writing your description and your titles and all of that type of thing. And the aesthetic of your mock-ups and all of that stuff, you're thinking about that person. It'll really focus you and potentially and hopefully lead you to a better result in your Etsy store.
Absolutely. Next on the list, another reason you're not getting sales is you're copying successful shops' designs. And I can understand the desire to do this on the outset, because if it's working for them, it could be working for you. But overall, I think a good rule of thumb is just don't copy other people's stuff. It's not good to do for a myriad of reasons. I mean, not only are you not getting sales potentially because of it, but also if that person whose designs you're deciding to copy and try and, emulate or just blatantly rip off, they could just come for you and file a complaint. And then you have no account to sell on. And that's the number one reason you're not getting sales on Etsy, is because you got a violation or a cease and desist or something. So just don't do that. Look for inspiration instead. So Travis, if someone were to ask you, like, how do I do that? How do I find inspiration then? Like, where should I look? Where should I go? What would you say?
Yeah, I think, we talk about there's a lot of great Etsy tools. We talk about eRank and Everbee and Sales Samurai and, these different products that'll help you kind of find out what is happening kind of behind the scenes. And, it's been said they're not that accurate, and it's probably true, but they have at least some data, more than you have, and they can give you an idea of what is trending, what is popular. But if you're just going, oh, you know what? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are dating, so I'm just going to put a whole bunch of like Taylor Swift things, in my shop, or shirts, and and it's not necessarily going to be Taylor Swift, IP infringement stuff, but it's going to be I'm hinting at that, and then oh my gosh, now it's the eclipse. I'm going to throw a bunch of eclipse stuff in there, and you're kind of going back to the first question: who's your customer? So, but use these like trends and things like that to get inspired for your niche. Take that idea, don't copy the idea, don't word for word, all of that stuff. Actually think about your customer and use the inspiration that you're getting from these tools to actually create something that's unique and special. And that's something that your customer, your ideal customer, would like. And if you're not a designer, that's okay. You can give ideas to a VA, to, a designing VA or a Fiverr person, and they can take those ideas and, translate them into something that actually is part of your brand or part of your target, and part of your target demographic will enjoy. So don't worry about, the only reason I copied is because I don't really have any good design skills. So I really need to like open Canva in one, open Etsy in one tab and Canva in the other. And I'm just going back and forth and just trying to match the fonts, and don't do that, really try to own your thing. I mean, I think it really does all go back up to that first one. Know who you are targeting. Yeah. And from there, you can get inspiration from other people's designs and, the things that they're selling in their shops. But it's not going to go well for you if you just, try to copy the most popular shop stuff and put it in there. Because those people are already getting sales. They already have the Etsy algorithm favor
in their favor.
Yeah. And you're just starting from zero, or starting from, a small number. And so it's not, the scales are not going to tilt in your favor. That person's just going to keep getting the sales, not you.
So you get nothing.
Precise.
Let's see how many times we can use that in this episode. The next reason.
Challenge accepted.
What's that?
Challenge accepted.
The next reason you might not be getting any sales, your listings aren't optimized. And that is a multifaceted thing. And I mean, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know that we've talked about listings on Amazon and Etsy. So there's other episodes that you can go back and kind of dive a little bit deeper into what exactly we're talking about here. But Travis, one of the first things that they can optimize is tags. So explain like what is a tag, why it's relevant to them as a seller, and what benefit it has to optimize those tags.
Well, I obviously they are Etsy's way of trying to determine what your product is about. And I believe they can be 20 characters long, including spaces. So they can be phrases. They don't have to just be words. You can use 13 of them, per listing. And while I don't believe that it is weighted as high as the title of your product, I think that they are most likely the second most important aspect of the SEO searchability, the search engine optimization for Etsy, which is a search engine, to gather that information about what your product is and then determine what to present to that customer who's typing in the search bar for that specific thing. So they are very important. If you're not filling out your tags, you are probably leaving money on the table, or you're at least leaving potential searches that you could show up for on the table. And then, so I think that's super important. Obviously your titles too. If you're not doing your titles in a way that, is using specific keywords that your target demographic, your target avatar would use in Etsy to type in for that search, you're leaving search results on the table. If you just say cool nurse coffee mug, that you're never going to sell that. You need to use keywords, and that's another good reason to look into the eRanks and the Everbees and all of those other Etsy specific search tools, because they can allow you to see, okay, this is a very popular listing, and here are the actual tags that they're using in their listing. You can also see the name, you can see what keywords they're using there. That can really go a long way towards building out your listing. But that's not the only thing that can make a listing suck and not make any sales.
The next one would be mock-ups. And again, this is something we've talked about pretty frequently on the show, and there's other episodes, and there's even tools that we have that we've recommended in the past that can help you with this. This is another one of those things of like, the excuse can't be, well, I don't have people to photograph, or I don't have models, or I don't have photography skills. Obviously mock-ups are going to be, when people are searching, the thumbnail, the mock-up is going to be what they see first. And so if yours isn't good, they're just probably going to scroll past, and then your descriptions don't even matter, and your tags have got them there, but not actually gone all the way and brought them into the listing, because that's what the mock-up does. So it's got to be engaging, especially on Etsy. Because Etsy is so, as I said, curated, lifestyle mock-ups, models wearing it, having it against something other than just a plain white background, even if it is, I see a lot of like the white wood paneling with the shirts laid on it, and just anything that's more engaging than just a flat t-shirt mock-up with the design and a white background. You're not gonna attract a lot of people doing it that way. So you want to have something that is engaging visually. Now, there's lots of tools that we have that you can do that with. So one of them, of course, is Placeit. We've talked about Placeit a lot here. So printondemancast.com/place is where you can go to use or to get that software. So Placeit will do things like place your mock-ups on models, t-shirt, people who are wearing a t-shirt. It'll place your design on that. They have videos, they can do mugs, they can do all kinds of things that really enhance your mock-up, and enhances then your listing by default, right? Another thing we've used and talked about before is bulk mockup generator. It's a Photoshop plugin. The good thing about Placeit is you don't really need Photoshop skills. You just can, drag and drop your design, bring it in, and place it the way you want. Choose the color of the shirt, export it, so on and so forth. Bulk. That's not the right word. Bulk mockup generator. You can have one blank, right? One blank design, one blank mock-up, t-shirts, multiple colors, place the design on one, and then it all goes and just in batches goes there. So it's or goes on the mock-up. So it's a really handy tool, but either way, mock-ups are huge. You're going to want to use or utilize some kind of software or tool, or even if you do have friends that are willing to rock and model a design and you go out and do a photo shoot, that's awesome too. But there's tools that you have at your disposal if that's something that you cannot use. Well, we're back, and that other sad trombone sound means that this time it was Travis.
Yep.
Technology is just destroying us today, which is great. But here we are. We're back. We're on the roll. And so, Travis, right before your computer decided to take a lunch break, we were just getting to descriptions when we're talking about the listings, optimizing listings. And I talked about mockups a bit. So now we're at description. So you can touch on a little bit in terms of description, optimizing that, how that also lends itself to an increase in eyes on the product, and then hopefully ultimately sales.
Yeah. So anecdotal evidence says that the first part of your description is weighted more in the SEO than the later part of your description. So you want to get your keywords kind of towards the top, but even beyond that, I think if you go and you look at really nice listings on Etsy and you expand that description section, a lot of people are doing a really nice job of potentially even linking to other products that are specifically in that niche, or if it's a digital product, maybe you're pointing to a bundle that has a bunch of digital products or, things like that. They're also encouraging people to jump on their email list to get, news and updates about their brand. There's a lot of things you can do in that description. That's beyond just SEO, but even like the layout of it, you can use, different characters to kind of like a line of characters to separate sections when you're talking about shipping and you're talking about policies and all of that stuff. But all of that to say, you can use that description to look more professional and just look better. But I think all of this, the reason my computer crashed is because I was looking for the slide, but back in what was the episode? Was it 170?
I want to say 177.
177.
Yep.
Yeah. Back in 177, we talked about the print on demand success pyramid, and you can see it here if you're watching on YouTube. And, we talk about organization being on the bottom. Design is obviously super important. If you have bad design, none of the rest of the stuff matters. But then we're talking about on-page SEO. And this is the actual thing that we're talking about right now with your mockups or with your descriptions and your titles and your tags. Mockups is one more up from that, because if they don't ever see your product because your SEO is bad, they'll never see your mockups either. Yeah. The way I see it is that getting them to your page is the most important thing. And then from there on, your mockups really are going to sell that product. Yep. Yeah, your title and your description and your tags are important to get them there. But I think the mockups are really kind of what is going to push that sale over the top, as long as you've gotten all that right. So just wanted to mention that as we're talking about kind of, on-page SEO and all of that stuff. And, all of the things that go into an optimized listing on Etsy.
Awesome. So take advantage of that. You can see that on YouTube. Again, episode 177 is where we kind of dive a little bit deeper on all of that as well. The next reason on the list is your listings are priced too high. And I wish we had the too damn high soundbite that the guy talks about, because that's so applicable right now. But this can also, there's a couple of things that can contribute to this. One of them would be you're using a higher price fulfillment partner. And when you're doing that, obviously you have to mark up a little bit more than maybe your competitor because of your costs that you're trying to cover. All that to say, this kind of goes back to the discussion we've had multiple times of shop fulfillment partners. See which ones are best, most reasonably priced, and just make sure that you're getting the best deal as well when it comes to your fulfillment, because that can definitely affect your bottom line. And the other thing you can consider, again, is loss leaders, which I think you alluded to a little bit earlier, but that's the thing that you can discount in order to get people into your store and then see everything else that is then around it, related products or whatever that looks like. Happens to me all the time. With, I get constant advertisements on Facebook and Instagram for fanatics or lids, because I'm a hat guy. So I'll see, a Nuggets hat that's discounted on sale. I'll click on it. And then I'm like, oh, that hat's cool too. Well, that hat's full price. The one that I clicked on second, that one's full price. So it works. It gets them in the door, and then you get to show them everything else that's in your store. It's kind of like when stores kind of put the clearance rack outside their front door and people are walking by on the sidewalk, and they start looking at the clearance and then inevitably just kind of make their way into the actual store. That's the same kind of concept here.
Right. And if you're planning on using this, it is a good idea, because it not only gets people into your store, but it also creates sales. And while you may not make profit on those products, the Etsy algorithm, like, its favorite thing is sales. That's the thing that's going to move the needle the most on your particular site. So if you get more sales, then they're going to move you up in the search rankings, which means that you get more traffic, and then you get more sales, and you see how that a beautiful cycle would continue to grow, hopefully on your Etsy account. The last thing I'll say about loss leaders is that you don't have to just, while I think it's good to have certain products that are absolutely loss leaders, you could also, a lot of people on Etsy are using this loss leader strategy on a specific size or color of their product to lower that price on the search page, to where you're like, oh my gosh, that's a Bella canvas for $9. And they click in and they're like, oh no, that's the the onesie for the newborn, that has mama on it or something. It's never going to be sold. But it lowered that price. Again, it's kind of a little bit of a trick, a little gray hat, but a lot of people are doing that too. You could use it a little more ethically, I guess, if you wanted to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to sell all my smalls for way less at a break-even point, just to show that and get people in there. And then, if you sell one, that's fine. But other people they're getting into your shop. They have the option to buy that product, or they can look for other things that are in your shop that they might like more. And if you have targeted your demographic correctly, all of those things, or at least a lot of those things in your store, are going to be targeted to that particular person who clicked into your store, because that's what you've created, this whole ecosystem of like, who is my customer and how do I get them to click something in my store and to see all the things that I've created for them. Yeah.
Next thing on the list is you're not scaling your winning products. So if you sell a product targeted to a certain demographic, you can copy that listing and target a similar demographic with the same product. So for example, let's say you have a school-related mug that you are targeting at a teacher. Well, that could be repurposed to target a school administrator, a principal, a guidance counselor, kind of seeing that the Venn diagram, like where do these two demographics overlap and how can I use this to target that? So that's one thing that you can look at doing in terms of kind of maximizing the things that are working for you. How can you get other eyes on that that's still related? You don't have to come out with a new design. Use the same thing to target different segments of the overall demographic, which is educators, right? So how do you kind of pinpoint those differently?
Yeah. And so, I mean, this would, people are asking like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, you would literally copy the listing, change the title, change the tags, and target that towards a similar target customer. So it'd be basically mostly the same pictures and everything, but they're going to show up in different places on Etsy. And you're going to pay an extra 20 cents for it, but now you've got twice the potential reach for the same product. It's the same SKU, it's the same everything. But now there's more than one demo actually looking at it, because you found out people like this. So I don't want the principals to not see this because I put teacher and I didn't put principal in my title originally. So yeah, it's an easy win. If you are getting sales, you can just duplicate those listings and target similar demographics with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last one we have on the list, our number 6, would be you're saying no to customization requests. That's on Etsy. You're going to want to find out a way to make that work. And again, in past episodes here on the show, we've talked about workflows that you can kind of implement to make that process easy for you, easy for your fulfillment partner. If you're not doing production in-house, and easy on your designer to make those customizations. So it's really efficient and flows well. It'll take a second to establish it because it is a separate workflow, but you open the door to the potential of so much more in terms of sales, because Etsy is, again, one of those places that's kind of, I feel like, carved out its stake in, or its space in the market, because it is where you go to get customizable stuff. Amazon now does customization, but Etsy was first, So I think you're going to want to say yes to those types of things.
I mean, most of the people that are on Etsy have probably bought a personalized item on Etsy, and so if you aren't doing that, you are definitely limiting your scope. So, you can sell just regular t-shirts that have, whatever design you want, non-customizable. But I would highly consider creating some listings that do have the ability to be customized. And to Josiah's point, yes, that means some of the workflow has to change. It can't flow directly to your print partner. But if you have the ability to check every day and make sure, that when a sale comes in within, a reasonable amount of time, you're able to quickly open up Photoshop or Canva or whatever and recreate the art and then upload it and tag it, to your print partner. It's absolutely going to be worth it. And as you continue to scale that, you can put systems around it to where other people in your organization, your virtual assistants, for example, can just log in every night, or check it every night. And so you can even have those emails, those messages, you can open that up to not just coming to your email address. You could give them access to some of that stuff and make it a lot easier on you. So there are ways to scale that. And it's working for a lot of people on Etsy. I know somebody who does 6 figures in sales, like high 6 figures every year. And this year his target is to do 7 figures in sales. And then all he does is Etsy customized stuff.
Yeah.
So he's obviously figured it out. Why can't we? Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that does it for our list. Again, we'd love to hear from you guys as well. In terms of your thoughts, do you have another thing that maybe we missed, or do you have some experience in some of these? Maybe you weren't getting sales and you tweaked and optimized one of these areas that we're talking about and experienced a growth in sales. We'd love to hear that as well. One thing that we always want to encourage you guys to do, if you want to know more about, or not more about the show, but if you want more information, if you want more tips, tools, insights, tricks, and a bonus dad joke, you go and you sign up for our VIP email list at printondemandcast.com/VIP. It's 1 email a week. We don't spam you. You're not going to get obnoxious ads from any of our affiliates or anything like that. It's literally just a supplement to the show every week. Comes to you on Wednesday, Thursday, Travis. When do you usually try and get those both out?
Thursday,
one of those days?
Usually early Thursday morning.
Okay.
So the show drops Wednesday, and then like midnight, I set it to go, and then it delivers for the next few hours.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, I was just going to say one thing, because this last email I sent last week, something happened with, there's a big thing with email marketing. Google and Yahoo have changed these. There's all these different rules now, and it affected the email last week. So if you didn't see it in your inbox, if you're subscribed, go to your spam and dig it out of there, and then do me a favor and whitelist it so you can get it every week. It's fine if you want to unsubscribe if it's not something you want, but we just don't want it to go into spam, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And we had a really, really low open rate because I think a lot of them did go to spam for some reason. It's because I changed some of the DNS on the back end. It's too technical to even get into, but I've been talking to a lot of people who are in the internet marketing space that are having crazy trouble with their internet marketing because of some of these changes that Google's doing. So do us a favor and go into your, your spam email from this last week and mark it as not spam, whitelist it, whatever, system you have for not labeling it as spam, that would be greatly appreciated because our reputation, like when things come from us, and we continue to grow the list, our reputation for not sending spam is super important. So, I didn't mean to hijack that from
you're Josiah,
good. But I wanted to mention that.
That's good information. Listeners. Yeah, that's good. It's good for them to know, and a good way for them to help us out as well. And last thing I will say about that is when you do sign up for the list, of course, you get the design calendar that helps you kind of anticipate what's coming up holiday-wise, which you should be prepared to sell for. And if you haven't got one of those, if you did sign up and you haven't got it, you can reply to that email, let us know, and be like, hey, my calendar is not with or not here. Where is it at? Can I get it? And we can remedy that for you as well. So, Travis, anything else before we send this one home?
Nope. I think, like we were saying, I think a lot of these things come back to figuring out who your ideal customer is. I think a lot of people get into print on demand. They just go, I want to do products and this is fun. And woo, I'm making, look, I have a sales page, a listing on Etsy, and they share it with all their friends and family, and their friends and family go, that's amazing. And you get that dopamine hit and then no sales. And that can be really, really discouraging. And I think a lot of people drop out because of that. But hopefully by defining that ideal avatar for your products to start, you can avoid some of that down the road, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We look forward to being back with you again with new content, new insight, new dad jokes, all of it that you guys love. It'll be there in a new episode, all brand new. So until then, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.
In a world where businesses everywhere are trying to make print-on-demand sales, one podcast goes above and beyond every week to bring the most POD-specific information there is, all to help save the day, every day. Don't succumb to the enemies of your print-on-demand business. Sign up today for the Print on Demand Cast VIP email at printondemandcast.com/VIP. This time, it's for real.